Good morning, students. So this is class 12th physics, chapter number 9, that is ray optics, and lecture number 3. So in the previous lectures of this chapter, you have studied about mirrors, you have studied about reflection of light, but today we'll be starting refraction of light, okay? So the change in path of light when it goes from one medium to another is called refraction of light. For example, look at this diagram. Suppose this is any interface between two mediums, that is, this is medium 1 and this is medium 2. I am considering this medium to be rare and this medium to be denser. Now, what do you mean by a rare and denser medium? It just means in a rare medium, the particles are not tightly packed, but in a denser medium, the particles are tightly packed. For example, if you compare air and oil, out of them air is a rare medium and oil is a denser medium. Okay, so now the change in path of light when the light goes from one medium to another is called refraction of light. So again, this is your normal ray. Suppose this is your incident ray which is coming by making an angle I with the normal ray. Okay, so now as you know, this light gets reflected at an angle equal to angle of incidence. So this is angle of incidence, and angle of reflection is also angle I only. Okay, so now this ray is showing you the refracted ray, that is when the light is traveling from one medium to another. So see what happens whenever light ray goes from rare to denser medium, it bends towards normal, and whenever the light ray goes from denser to rare medium, it bends away from normal. The reason for it I will tell you later. For now you can just remember this. Okay, so for here the light ray is going from rare to denser medium, that means it will bend towards normal. So this is the initial path of the ray, but it will bend towards normal. So this is your angle of refraction, that is the angle between normal and the refracted ray is called angle of refraction, that is R. Okay, so now the question arises, why does this happens? So the reason for the refraction is that there is change in velocity of light when it goes from one medium to another, and therefore refraction takes place. Okay, so whenever light ray goes from one medium to another, there is a change in velocity of its particles, due to which refraction is taking place, or you can say due to which this bending is taking place towards normal or away from normal. Okay, so before telling you laws of refraction, let us study one term which is refractive index. Okay, so refractive index is denoted by this term, that is mu, and to define it, you can say the refractive index is defined as the ratio of speed of light in vacuum, that is C, to the speed of light in any medium, that is V. Therefore, mu is defined as C by V, where C is speed of light in vacuum, and V is any speed of light in medium. Okay, so now to define a relative refractive index, that is a refractive index of one medium with respect to another medium, we write it as 1 mu 2. Okay, so how to write it now? This means mu 2 upon mu 1. So to remember it, you can learn it like this. Just keep mu 2 as it is in the numerator and mu 1 will come downward. Okay, so this represents mu 2 by mu 1. Now if you use this formula, mu 2 will be C by V2 and mu 1 will be C by V1. So C will cancel out, so you will get V1 by V2. So you can say relative refractive index is defined as the velocity of light in one medium to the velocity of light in second medium. Okay, and higher if a medium has higher refractive index, that means it is more denser. If a medium has low refractive index, that means it is less denser. Okay, so now let us start with laws of refraction. So the first law is, whenever light ray goes from medium 1 to medium 2, velocity of light changes, but frequency and phase of light remains same. That is, you can say during refraction, velocity of light will change, but frequency of the light will remain same. And as velocity of the light is changing, therefore you can say wavelength will also change. Okay, second law is just as same as the laws of reflection. So it says incident ray, refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in the same plane. Okay, now third and the most important law of refraction is product of refractive index and sine of angle of incidence or refraction at a point in a medium is constant. That is, product of refractive index and the angle of sine or sine of angle of incidence or refraction remains constant. That is, you can say mu1 sine I1 for one medium will be equal to mu2 sine I2 for second medium. Now, the diagram which I have drawn, in that I1 is your angle of incidence and I2, that is second angle in second medium, is angle of refraction, which is R. So if you put these here, you will get mu1 sine I is equals to mu2 sine R. From here, sine I upon sine R will come to be mu2 by mu1. So this is a very important law which is called Snell's law. This we will be using a lot in our further derivations as well. Okay. So remember this, sine I by sine R is equals to mu2 by mu1. And one more thing in this, see, this is the angle of incidence in, this is the angle in first medium, right? But this is the refractive index of second medium. So always remember this. In left hand side in numerator, if you have written the angle of first medium, then in right hand side in numerator you will be taking the second medium's refractive index. Okay, so sine I by sine R is equals to mu2 by mu1. Okay, so as I told you, mu2 by mu1 can be written as mu2 1. So therefore sine I by sine R can be written like this also. Okay. Now, if we talk about the reason why when the light goes from rare to denser medium, it bends towards normal, this we can conclude from Snell's law only. See, if the light is going from rare to denser medium, that is mu2 is greater than mu1. As I told you earlier, the more the medium which has more refractive index means that is more denser. So you can say mu2 is greater than mu1 if the light ray is going from rare to denser medium. So from Snell's law, mu2 by mu1 is equals to sine I by sine R. So if mu2 is greater than mu1, that means sine I is greater than sine R. Or you can say angle I should be greater than angle R. Now look in the diagram. If this is the angle of incidence, so this I can be greater than R only when this light ray bend towards normal. If it will bend away from normal, then angle of refraction will become greater than angle of incidence. But as we have seen here, angle I should be greater than angle R. So this can only happen when the ray bend towards normal. Okay. Okay, so the next topic is refraction of light through a rectangular glass slab. Okay, so in this diagram, as you can see, we have taken a rectangular glass slab A, B, C, D. This is the normal drawn on these two surfaces, or you can say on these two interfaces. Okay, so let us suppose outside medium is air, therefore I am denoting its refractive index by mu A, and because this is glass, so its refractive index is denoted by mu G. So mu A means refractive index of air and mu G means refractive index of glass. Okay, so now look here, suppose this is the angle of this is the incident ray. So this will be the angle of incidence, that is angle between incident ray and normal. Okay, so now can you tell me where this light ray will bend? See, it is going from rare to denser medium. That means this light ray will bend towards normal. So this light ray has bended towards normal. This is its initial path and I have bended this towards normal. Okay, so this is your angle of refraction. So I am denoting these by I1 and R1. Okay. Now, when this light ray will reach here, see again it is going from denser to rare medium. So now it will bend away from normal. So this was the initial path. It has bended away from normal. So I am taking it to be R2. So that means in a rectangular glass slab, the light ray is undergoing two refractions. First as interface AB and second at interface CD. So this is your R2, this is your R1, this is your I1. And obviously this will be your I2 because this is the second angle of incidence for the interface CD. Okay, so now what I have done, I have just drawn a perpendicular from M to N. Okay, so we have just drawn a perpendicular. This I will tell you later, first of all. And one more thing, let us suppose the thickness of this rectangular plate is T. Okay, so now let us use Snell's law for interface AB. So Snell's law will be sin I1 upon sin R1 is equals to mu G upon mu A, that is mu 2 upon mu 1. Okay. Now similarly for this interface CD, sin I2 upon sin R2 will be equal to mu A, because see here again air is present, mu A upon mu G. Mark it second equation. From first and second equation you can conclude sin I1 upon sin R1 will be equal to sin R2 upon sin I2. Okay, now again look in the figure. As you can clearly see, angle R1 is equal to angle I2, right? So therefore, from the figure, angle I2 is equals to angle R1. From this, if these are equal, you can conclude that sin I1 will be equal to sin R2, because see, these will cancel out if they are equal angles. So sin I1 is equals to sin R2, or you can say I1 has come equal to R2. That is, if you look in figure, this means this angle this angle I1 is equals to R2. So what we can conclude from here, that means if these angles are equal, that means this incident ray and this emergent ray are parallel to each other. So we can say if I extend this ray, these two will be parallel to each other. Okay, so this I am calling to be incident ray. This is your emergent ray. So from here we have concluded that emergent ray is parallel to the incident ray after refraction of light through a rectangular glass slab. Okay, so now again look here, as I have drawn this perpendicular, so this Mn is called lateral shift. That is, after having refractions from your rectangular glass slab, the light ray gets displaced laterally. As you can see, this was the initial path and now it has displaced here. So this is called lateral displacement. Okay, so we will be calculating the value of this lateral displacement, that is Mn. So for that, let us assume this to be angle del, that is angle of deviation, because see, this is this was the initial path of the ray and it has deviated by this path. So this is the angle of deviation. So you can calculate now sin del in this triangle. So sin del will be Mn upon Lm, that is perpendicular upon hypotenuse. So for lateral displacement, I have calculated sin del in the figure, which is Mn upon Lm. From here you can calculate Mn, that will come to be Lm sin del. Mark it first equation. Now again calculate cos R1 in the same figure. So in triangle OLM, if you calculate cos R1, that will be base upon hypotenuse, that means OL upon LM, and OL is nothing but thickness of the rectangular slab, that is T. So therefore cos R1 is OL upon LM, and OL is your thickness of plate, T upon LM. From here LM will come to be T by cos R1. So from second, put the value of LM in your first equation. So Mn will come to be T upon cos R1 into sin del. Okay, now you clearly look here, this angle is equals to this angle. Okay, so we can say R1 plus del is equals to I1. So therefore del will come to be I1 minus R1. So instead of del, I am using I1 minus R1. So this is the expression for the lateral shift through a rectangular glass slab, that is Mn is equals to T sin I1 minus R1 upon cos R1. Okay students, so the next topic is real and apparent depth of a tank. This states that whenever we look inside a tank, we never see, or you can say we does not see its actual depth. Instead of that, we see its apparent depth, and this happens due to the refraction of light, and that I'll be explaining through this diagram. So see, if suppose this is the real depth of the tank, that is from plane XY, this is the surface and this is the real depth. Okay, so now if a light ray goes normally from this point, it will retrace its path. So that means if the tank is observed normally, then we can be able to see its real depth. But suppose if a light ray goes like this from point O, so because it is going from denser to rare medium, that is because this is water, this is air. From, as you know, whenever the light ray goes from denser to rare medium, it bends away from normal. So this light ray will bend away from normal. So now if our observer is here, he will be able to look at this ray. So if you extend this ray, it is pointing here. That means this observer will say that the depth of the tank is this much only. Okay, so we can say AO or OA is the real depth, but IA is the apparent depth. Okay, so this is the angle of incidence. Obviously, this is the angle of refraction, and if this is angle I, this will also be angle I. Similarly, if this is angle R, this will also be angle R, just mathematical properties. Okay, so now let us calculate an expression for the apparent depth. Okay, so now as I told you, OA will be the real depth and IA will be the apparent depth. Okay, so now in triangle OAB, if you calculate sin I, that will be perpendicular upon hypotenuse, that is AB upon OB. Sin I is AB upon OB. Mark it, first equation. Now for second equation, take triangle ABI. Again in this calculate sin R, that will be perpendicular upon hypotenuse, that is AB upon BI. So sin R will be equal to AB upon BI. Now divide them. So sin I by sin R will come to be BI upon OB from these two equations, and from Snell's law, that is sin I by sin R is equals to mu2 by mu1, you will get sin I by sin R is equals to BI upon OB, which will be equal to mu A upon mu W, because here angle of incidence is in this medium, so this is our first medium and this is our second medium. So instead of mu2, I have written mu A. Okay, now if we suppose that all these angles are very small, so if the angles are very small, that means this B will lie close to A. So therefore you can say OB will be nearly equal to OA, that is OB will be nearly equal to OA, and BI will be nearly equal to AI, because we are assuming angles to be very small. Therefore B point will lie very close to the A point. Okay. So therefore again putting these values here, you will get sin I by sin R is equals to AI upon OA is equals to mu A upon mu W. So now if you look in the figure, OA is nothing but real depth and AI is nothing but apparent depth. So just put the value here. So from here you can say apparent depth, that is AI, upon real depth, that is OA, is equals to mu A upon mu W. So this is the ratio of apparent depth to the real depth, that is refractive index of air to the refractive index of water for this case. Okay, so now in rectangular slab we studied that there was a lateral shift displacement, but now can you tell me which shift is here? See, this point O has shifted here, that is you can say here normal shift is taking place. So always remember, in rectangular slab lateral displacement takes place, but in your tank, that is real depth and apparent depth cases, normal shift takes place. Okay, now how to calculate this normal shift? This will be nothing but this real depth minus apparent depth. So this will give you normal shift, that is OI. Okay, and one more thing, you can say just I is nothing but a virtual image of O only. Okay, so let us calculate normal shift in this case. So normal shift will be real depth minus apparent depth. As we have just calculated, real depth upon apparent depth is equals to apparent depth upon real depth is equals to mu A upon mu W. So from here there apparent depth will come to be real depth into mu A upon mu W. So normal shift will be equal to, if I take real depth to be common, that will be real depth into 1 minus mu A upon mu W. So therefore normal shift is OA, that is your real depth, into 1 minus mu A upon mu W. So this is the value of normal shift, and again I am telling you, do not get confused between lateral shift and normal shift. Okay, lateral displacement takes place in your rectangular glass slab and normal shift takes place in the tank case. Okay, so the next is total internal reflection. Before telling the definition of total internal reflection, let me explain this to you with this diagram. Okay, so look at this diagram first. Suppose this is any interface between denser and rare medium. So I am taking denser medium to be glass and I am taking rare medium to be air only. Okay, now see, if I am choosing any point O, now if the light ray will go from if the light ray is going from denser to rare medium, this it will bend away from normal. So see, this ray is going like this at an angle of this, so it will bend away from normal. Again, if I am increasing angle of incidence, so as you can see, angle of incidence is increased. So this will bend now more towards, away from normal. So you can say, if we keep on increasing the angle of incidence, this light ray will come closer and closer to this surface, right? So at one point, there will come one angle of incidence which I am taking to be C, that is, we will call it critical angle. So at one point, there will come that angle of incidence at which this light ray will go parallel to this surface, that is like this. Okay, so this particular angle is called critical angle. Now can you tell me, if I increase the angle of incidence more, what will happen? So fourth ray shows you when angle of incidence is greater than this critical angle, then as you can clearly see here, this light ray has bended in the same medium only. Okay, so from here we can say, whenever the light ray goes from denser to rare medium, it bends away from normal and it comes closer and closer to the surface, or you can say interface between the two medium. Then there will be coming an angle of incidence which is called critical angle of incidence, or you can say only critical angle, for which this refracted ray will pass parallelly to the surface. After that, if we increase this angle of incidence, that is, if I, angle of incidence, is greater than critical angle, then this light ray will bend back inside the denser medium. So this condition, or you can say this thing, is called total internal reflection. Okay, so you can say the bending back of light or the reflection of light inside the denser medium when it is going from this denser to rarer medium. So this is called total internal reflection, and this angle is called critical angle. So now let us define total internal reflection and critical angle. So first of all, critical angle is that angle of incidence in denser medium for which the angle of refraction is 90 degree. See, obviously if the refracted ray is going parallel to the surface, that means the angle between normal and the refracted ray will be 90 degree. So we can say angle of incidence in denser medium for which angle of refraction is 90 degree is called critical angle. Okay. Now to define total internal reflection, as I told you, it is defined as the reflection of light in the denser medium when it is traveling from this denser medium to rarer medium. So in total internal reflection, light just gets bent back. Okay. So now we have two conditions for total internal reflection now. First condition is that the light ray should always travel from denser to rarer medium, because see, if light ray is going from rare to denser medium, then it will go away from surface. Okay, so the first condition is that light ray should go from denser to rarer medium, and second condition is that angle of incidence should always be greater than critical angle. Only then TIR will take place. If your angle of incidence is less than critical angle, then total internal reflection will never take place. Okay, so now let us calculate an expression for this critical angle. Now again, using Snell's law, you know sin I by sin R is equals to mu 2 by mu 1. I am taking the condition at which the angle of incidence is equals to critical angle. So when I is equals to C, as I told you, angle of refraction will become 90 degree. So just put it here, sin C upon sin 90 will be 1, mu 2 by mu 1. Now our second medium is air, because light ray is going from water to air, that we have considered. So mu A upon mu G. Okay, so sin C can be defined like this. So always remember, sin C is equals to refractive index of rare medium upon refractive index of denser medium. Okay, so this was your total internal reflection. Tomorrow we'll be studying about applications of total internal reflection, and we'll be starting with lenses. Okay students, so after going through today's lecture, you can do question number 3, 4, 5 and 17. And the homework that I gave you in last lecture, in that question number 1 and 2 were just formula based questions. I hope all of you must have solved them. And next 2 questions were based on lenses. By mistake I gave you them, so do not do them now. We'll be doing them later when we'll discuss lenses. Okay, so for now you can do the homework, question number 3, 4, 5 and 17. Thank you.